Hello and welcome in to Against the Storm Let's Play. This is our first city after the tutorial and we are just figuring things out. This is the second episode, so if you haven't caught the first one you can get it as a link just here, but I will catch you up and explain everything, so don't stress too much about watching that one. But basically we have been playing for a little while. We've got a city pretty well established, but we have a serious people slash citizen shortage going on. You did start with quite a small amount and there hasn't been that many appearing, and I do think maybe it's because I'm not doing enough to like appeal to them, so maybe I need to start catering my town and my villages more to people. But it is a bit frustrating because I never seem to have enough people where I need them. One of the things I am doing here is just moving my woodcutters so that we can clear up some glades and get everything a little bit better sorted. But yeah, hopefully you've seen enough of this game to kind of understand the basis of it. But it's a city builder, but you are surviving in a world where everything's kind of gone a little bit to pot, and we create these little colonies in the woods. We go out there and we kind of fight against the evil lurking in the woods to get the resources and sort of rebuild our world and our civilization. The storm is a bit toxic and is a bit damaging to us as a civilization, and also we have all these hidden sort of entities, monsters, darknesses within the woods that are also kind of out to get us if we don't conquer them in the right way. The other great thing about this game that I really enjoy is that there's different types of citizens that you can have. So you see here when I'm clicking on these wheels, you get options of who can live in what kind of building, and each one of those types of person has their own strengths. So we have lizards, beavers and humans. Each one of those do a different purpose, and they all also have different needs to make them as a society happy. Really here all we're doing is kind of making sure we've got all the types of buildings we need. And also what you'll notice is that I'm really out of space. Like there's absolutely not enough space to put any of the buildings that I want down, despite the fact that we've opened up all of these glades. And I think this is where I start to realize that I've put a lot of time and energy into opening up into these little individual glades, but all that's done is create this kind of weird pockety space. Pockety, that's an interesting phrase. So what I do here is I move a woodcutter down to this edge here, and then I just set them on clearing trees because I figure having that space available and free is actually going to be really helpful to me. We also here unlock the next bunch of objectives. As I said, they're time based, so you unlock them at certain times in the game and they unlock a bunch at once, so you're never just working towards one thing, which I think is really cool. We get our new bunch here and we pick through them, and it's things like making the lizards happy for a certain amount of time. I think they had to be a certain level over a minute for this particular one, which does prove to be a little bit difficult later because holding it for the whole minute is actually really difficult, because every time the storm comes everyone gets more miserable and you have to kind of go out your way to make sure people are happy enough that they don't drop below that level. But we will get to that. And then we pick the last one here, which is just making certain goods, and those are the objectives that we're kind of working towards in this video. And you can see we've got the 4 there. So everyone's kind of plodding along and is relatively happy just doing their thing. We've got quite a lot of kind of glades being cleared. We've got this scavenger camp here that's run out. So again, one of the things I love about this game, I've mentioned it in the previous videos, is that you can move the buildings when you're happy with them. So I could just pick the scavenger up, put it down right next to the new scavenger, and everything's happy. Build them a path, we're all good, we're all sorted. And it just is a lot smoother and easier than demolishing buildings, rebuilding buildings, and it just seems to be a really sensible thing that they've done, that you can just move your resource camps around like that. Now you can't do that with all the buildings, which may be a little bit frustrating, because early on in the game you'll see here I filled my town area with the like industry buildings, and it sort of shoots me in the foot because you can't move those. And yet you have to have your houses within range of the hearth, which does cause a little bit of a problem, because realistically I probably should have made sure I had space to build houses near the hearth where I want to. So as you can see, quite a lot of time's passed and we still actually even haven't cleared that wood area enough for me to put the building down that I'm trying to do. Now what I'm trying to put down there is a cookhouse. So the reason I'm trying to do that is because the cookhouse are able to provide refined food, which is what would make the lizards happy, and one of my current quests is actually to make the lizards happy for a period of 30 seconds. Like you have to get the resolve or their happiness over a certain level. So one of the things you really do need to focus on with that is upping the material quality that they're getting. So do they have good housing? Are any of them homeless? And also, do they have good food products that they like? Do they have the clothing products they like? Do they have all the things that that particular species wants? You can find find out what that is by clicking on them, and also you can see their resolve at any one point just to see how happy they are as a species. And lizards are like the unhappiest species right now. You can see if you look in the corner, they're actually only a level 7, and it's just because we're not giving them anything that they need. The beavers have their own housing type, like here I'm building some beaver houses. They're going to be very happy with that. The humans have got the farms going on. They've kind of got everything that they would want in the world, but the lizards really don't have anything. So as a quest base to make the lizards happy, I kind of have my work cut out a little for me. And one of the big things is that we just don't really seem to have a lot of meat production going on, and lizards are a big fan of meat and not really farming products, so it's important that we get that sorted. You'll also see there I've got a building waiting to be built because I am just short on supplies. I don't seem to have enough bricks at any one point, and I also never seem to have enough fabric, so that is what we choose to buy from the trader, and we just do that as a normal trade. So we pick the things that we think we need, and then we just give them some money. After the trade is done, we do hit a reputation bonus. So whenever your reputation goes up, you get to pick a new building type. And we also get some people dropping by. Now, you'll have seen there, if you're paying attention, I picked smokehouse. Again, we're talking about this. We want the lizards to be happy, and smokehouse makes jerky, makes meat. We also get some more people arriving, and then we get the cornerstones every single time. Whenever there's one that stops trade, I'm always picking the other one because I like the trade. You saw how easy it was then to get some kind of really important resources that we needed, so I'm always going to be leaning towards that one. Our cookhouse is now complete, and as you can see in the cookhouse, we can make some more refined food. So I put some lizards in there in the hope that this is going to make them happy. Fingers crossed, and also just because the lizards work well in that kind of environment. Also here you can pick different ingredients to match up, and I was having a look at what we had available, but sadly we didn't really have a lot available. I noticed here that one of the woodcutters was short, so I just filled it up. And then again, it's just kind of working our way through the quests and the missions to try and make everyone as happy as possible. So we have actually completed one of our missions here, clothing, and we also just got a warehouse finished. So I did put a warehouse up at this top end because I thought it was really important that we kind of had those resources coming from those outer glades back to that warehouse quickly. Also because it was the first time I'd unlocked a warehouse and I just really wanted to build one. I'm not going to lie to you guys. What you could see there, I was trying to put the smokehouse that we'd unlocked down, but again, I did not have space, and I feel like it's such a weird thing because the whole game is based around kind of clearing the forest and living in here, and yet one of the elements I found the most frustrating was having to constantly clear the forest to make room to live here. But like, it's not a negative because I love the game. Does that make any sense? Here we've managed to clear that area that I was kind of working on the whole way through, and now we're trying to get through to this really big gladed area because I just think this will give us a lot of space to live in and give us like a cool area. The other thing I'm doing is popping some shelters down because I feel like we just don't have enough houses, but we are running out of resources, which is a little bit of a problem, and it's something we need to keep an eye on. And it's probably just because I'm constantly popping buildings down, like no matter what I do. You can also see here that we've managed to get our lizards a lot happier. Like, our lizards are level 14. Previously, when we were talking about the lizards' happiness, they were level 7. So my lizards are definitely a lot happier than they had previously been, and it's definitely working to get them the food groups. But one of the big ones is that there's just not enough houses for everyone in this town. A lot of people are homeless the whole way through because I'm just not focusing on building them houses and getting those spaces for them. And part of that is just basically because I don't have room in that center to just continually keep building houses. The time is up to where we get to pick some more quests. So I do have a look here. We either have to open some caches inside the glades or secure ourselves some ancient tablets, which can also only be got from the glades, but the rewards seem better, so I picked this one. And then this one, we either have to educate our citizens or we need to provide certain provisions. So I was looking at these and the rewards for what I actually wanted out of these, and I think I do end up choosing this one basically because I don't actually know how to satisfy the education need, but it sounds like it could be a little bit complicated, so I just chose for the production one because I find that a lot simpler to do and to achieve. But as you can see here, we're just really kind of working our way. Once again, people is a problem. Like, I just can't exaggerate that enough. We built another woodcutter. We're trying to get people into the right buildings and get everything sorted, but we just don't have a lot of bodies running around. There isn't just not enough people to do all of the kind of jobs that I need to be done in this game at this point. So here I can finally see that the resolve of the lizards has reached the level it needs to, and the game has created this little clock because it has to be held for a minute. But you can already see that they're about to get really unhappy, and that is basically because of the storm and the things that are happening in the storm. So they do not have enough resources in the storm once that hits for them to maintain that happiness level. So I know that it's going to be dropping, and I'm just hoping it's going to last the full minute. But as you can see, it immediately drops back down to 15 and we don't complete it, which was very frustrating. I got very excited when I saw it pop up, but I didn't quite meet the criteria. So it is something to bear in mind that just hitting it is not enough. You have to maintain it. You'll also notice that quite a few of the buildings have exclamation marks on them, and that is because we are running low on resources. So as well as the balance of clearing an area to make sure you can have all of the buildings that you want and all of the space filled up, you also have this balance of constantly kind of opening up into new areas, because you do go through the resources really quickly. The scavengers, the trappers, the farmers, not so much, but everyone else just barrels through those researches. Even the stonecutters just fly through them, and nothing really seems to last for all that long. One of the things I noticed here as well was that it's really important that you are paying attention and making sure that those buildings are using all of the resources they can to do what you need them to do. So, you know, if you're trying to produce a particular ingredient, open up all the options, just give it all the options. But also, if you're trying not to use a particular ingredient because you know your community like it, don't let them process it and turn it into the next thing. Do you know what I mean? Make sure, no matter what you do, that you're really keeping an eye on those resources, because it controls the happiness of your citizens. And as you can see, quite a lot of my citizens, I'm very happy right now. So one of the cool things I was able to do here is actually I just took the beavers out of the woodcutters because they'd achieved their goals, and then I was trying to do these glade events because I knew they were quest based and I wanted to send them on their way. But as always with these events in the glades, you have to have certain resources to be able to pull them off, and I just did not have the tools that was necessary in order to achieve this particular glade event. So there's always a point in games like this for me where I just feel like my resource management is appallingly poor. When you get 4 alerts popping up in the corner, you start to really panic that you're doing something seriously wrong. But I think, considering this is the first time I've kind of gone city without a tutorial, I'm not going to be too stressed about it. We also here get, you know, the latest cornerstone and some people coming in, and every time this comes in, it just makes me feel a bit better, because as soon as I get people, I just feel a little bit happier about the balance of my town and that I'm actually going to be making progress, because you constantly need new buildings. One of the things here is, again, the stonecutter run out of resources. I try and put them in a central point there so they're going to be able to reach them both. And I've noticed that quite a few of my buildings actually aren't fully stocked because I was minimizing people down. So I make the decision here to move them and add an extra woodcutter where it's needed. I also decide to move this building, having a look where I'd quite like it to go, where I'm kind of heading into an area of, and I decide to pop it down here so we can head through into another glade, because there's obviously a really big glade area there that could become really useful for us. I check on the progress. This one seems to be moving quite well. It is moving in the right area. The danger doesn't seem to kind of be happening right now. This one was actually a really sad little event. So there was actually dead brethren. It's called Fallen Brethren. There was actually dead bodies in the center, and everyone was kind of sad because they'd been hanging around about the dead bodies and they were looting those dead bodies, I guess. So it was a little bit strange. This is a building that has no resources. So sometimes this does happen, that you haven't unlocked an area yet that is resourceable. So I just plopped it back down in the hope that when we do get through to these glades, that we are going to find the building that we're looking for. As I say, these glades, when they open up, do give us things every time, but this one gave us stone. But as I've always said, is I do like the little circles that point us in the direction of the new areas that are opened up. But we do seem to just be really struggling to find the resources. Even when we're opening up these new glades, it's not really giving us the resources that we would be hoping for or necessarily looking for. And as I said, it just feels like we're at the part of the game where it gets kind of hard to achieve what we're wanting to. My lizards are unhappy again. We don't seem to be making much progress with the quests or with the glade events. We're not getting the things that we want, and it just felt like a little tiny bit of a struggle. But we do keep moving, and we do get some of the events completely solved, which is pretty cool. And also we do get some more trade-in, so we did actually buy some meat from that trader, which does help the lizards. Here we get our options. We could choose a human house, a brewery, or a weaver. And I choose a brewery because I know that it makes my citizens happy. and it gives us like the option later to have a tavern, which is a really good leisure thing, which again makes the people happy. As you can see, we've made little to no progress on the 4 quests we've got going on the side, and it does feel like we're kind of still in this stage of needing something to happen that's going to kind of change the game dynamic a little bit for us. So we are just trying to make sure all the buildings that we need to are sorted and everyone's happy. The hearth is doing its job. The woodcutters here are trying to get through to this glade to get a whole new glade event. I do feel like I've maybe went overkill again on the spreading out. I'm not even utilizing really this space that we've got over here, but I feel like I probably should have used it better at this point before I was immediately like, ooh, new glade, let's go. And I think the only thing that you can say that is definitely working is that we were able to build this new building really fast, because some of the resources have actually now come under control and we seem to have quite a good number of bricks and things like that. So we are sorted. Once again, very short on people. Like, there's no denying that we don't have a lot of people in this particular settlement just from the way it's been set up. And finally we can see that the second glade event has actually finished as well, which is really cool. It took us a while to get the resources we needed for that one, but it does seem like even though you go through this kind of period in the middle of the village or in the building stage, I don't even think this was the middle, this was probably more closer to the start, it does kind of all just click into place at some point, and now it feels like we've actually got a lot of access to resources. We've got the farmland going on that we're able to pop some more farming down on, which will get everyone some food, which makes them happy. There's also a lot of rocks in there, there's other resources in there. I am very keen on building roads, by the way. I don't know that everyone does it as often as I do, but I just think every single building type should have a road going to it. So we do open up here the new glade, and it's given us a few events actually, which is really cool. But I'm also deciding to have a look and make sure that all the other buildings have the resources they need, because I'm conscious that we did unlock them. So I decided to try and move this person down here and then realize I'm being an idiot and it's the wrong kind of person, and that actually this is what I needed. So I popped that building down there, and they're going to be able to produce meat, which is really, really helpful because, as I said, I'm trying to make the lizards happy, and the lizards aren't really that happy at the moment in our game. I also run around with these guys here to see what they could use. And then, yeah, basically we've got lots of events going on. It gave us 3 different glade events in this one, which I think was really cool. We've got this building here, but we already had this building type. Now, if we hadn't have had this building type, we could have actually like refurbished this building and used it and given us a whole new building type. Because we had already had it, I made the choice to actually demolish it and take the resources. And we do also get here a new set of quests that pop up for us. But at this point, I'm like, I've got enough going on. I've got 4 quests going on. The storm cycle's just started again. I don't really feel like my city's running as smooth as it could. So I choose not to actually pick the 2 quests and to kind of try and get through the 4 that I've got going on and let everyone sort of complete their jobs and for everyone to be as happy as they could be. So basically, that is how we progress for a little while here. And after lots of moving buildings around and getting things sorted, we do actually manage to make our lizards happy, and the countdown has once again started. So I am pretty confident I'm going to be able to complete that mission. We get some more people coming into our town and a new cornerstone. Now, interestingly here, I didn't like either of them. I don't want to stop trade. I don't want to have to celebrate killing a villager. And I did something that I didn't think I'd ever do, so I declined this. And I was like, no, do you know what? I don't want either of those things. As you can see, the countdown for the lizard's happiness is still counting down in that top right-hand corner. And I'm like, you can't see me in this game, but I was so tense at this point that something was going to make them unhappy and I was going to lose that quest. And I clearly watched it because the minute it was complete, I clicked on it. And here's where I choose the final 2 objectives of this level. What is it we're going to need? Do we want some leather or do we want education need fulfilled? I've said before that I don't really understand the education need, so I didn't choose it as my last one. And then this one, are we going to go into some dangerous glades and complete some events? Or are we going to get certain supplies ready for the game? Now, both of them seem to give equally beneficial kind of options here out of what you would want. But I did really like the idea of getting the new items that I hadn't really seen before. So I picked that one. Plus, I do just think production ones are easier. And at this point, I didn't know that I wanted to go into that many new glades. And that seems a good point to end this chapter of the video. There will be a part 3, which hopefully we will complete the final missions. As you can see, we've still got 5 missions on the go, but please come out, hang out for that one. I would like to see you all there.